We're going to start with a land acknowledgement to ground the group and recognize the original stewards of this land. We would like to acknowledge that we are on indigenous land, the traditional territory of the Coast Salish peoples, people that are still here, continuing to honor and bring to light their ancient heritage. Tonight, we have another packed night with important resources and information on city programs and community that we hope you will find beneficial and useful. February is Black History Month, so our theme for community conversation tonight is Black history and Black-led community initiatives. First, we're going to hear from a BIPOC arts youth group, then from a public health expert about COVID and health equity. I'm sorry, we'll also be hearing from a Black-owned business after the arts group, then on to a health update about COVID-19 from the Public Health Department. Finally, we will hear from two BIPOC groups working to strengthen Black communities, especially youth. Over to you, Osvaldo, for our first segment.
Thank you, Ed, and Jaylin and Quincy. Welcome to our show, Community Conversations. We have Jaylin, who's a spokesperson, and Quincy, who's the treasurer for Art of Resistance and Resilience. Thank you for joining us tonight. So for those who don't know who you are, so let's get right into it. For those who don't know who you are, can you introduce yourself to our listeners and share what kind of work you'll do in terms of the group? Can you tell us who the group is?
All right, I can start us off here. Hi, my name is Jaylin. I'm a spokesperson for the group. I mainly talk to reporters or go on podcasts like this. And what the group usually does is art in the scope of from environmental justice to racial inequality, and doing art to bring light to that, like murals. For example, the Black Panther mural in front of Franklin High School, and just banner drops and different types of artworks to bring awareness to some of the greater problems in our world.
Yeah, the first time I heard, the first time I looked up your Facebook page was after I saw the work you were doing on that Black Panther mural over by the school. That's great. Okay, Ed?
Yeah, it's really cool that you've got this great social and environmental justice-based art club at Franklin High School. I loved hearing about all your great work. I was wondering, Jaylin or Quincy, could you tell us a little bit about what inspired you and other people to start the club?
Did you say what inspired the club?
Yeah.
Or just the club start?
Well, yeah.
Okay, I was not here when the club actually started. It started a while ago. I'm sort of new to it as of last year, but I can say I joined because my art skills are kind of bad, and I wanted a place to kind of sharpen them up and just work on certain things while making the community a better place, I think, and just nicer in general. And being able to work on art and do something you believe in is really nice. That was my reason for joining.
And I see, unfortunately, Quincy is having some technical issues. So I'm sure once she joins, hopefully she's able to contribute a little more as well. Jaylin, it's always about the inspiration, and it's always being in a school. Being in school is about being inspired to do work for community. But unfortunately, art is often one of the first investments that are cut when budgets are facing shortfalls, whether it's at the government level or whether it's in our public schools. Why do you think art is an important component of a healthy community?
Personally, I think art is actually the most widespread language humanity has ever created. I mean, since before spoken word, we've had hieroglyphs and cave paintings, and I just think there's a lot of people that come to the United States who don't speak English or English isn't their first language, but when you see art, there's a level of understanding of the emotion it invokes behind it, because I think art is a projection of ourselves, and it's I think that's an excellent way to communicate to others, if not through speaking to them.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think art is really like a universal language among humanity, a great form of expression. I wanted to ask you, Jaylin and Quincy, if you're able to come back. Great community work often involves collaboration, and I was curious to know what connection ARR has made with other artists and other groups out there in the community. Or maybe you could also talk a little bit about what upcoming projects your club might be working on.
Dope, yeah. So I think in the past, AAR has linked up with the Black Student Union, and what we're working on now and sort of like coming towards the tail end of is like a bunch of like signs are going to put up on the athletics field in protest to the Black Panther sign being like almost defaced and smashing with a hammer. And I think in the future, we're going to like work with the community of Rainier Beach to set up a mural there. I think that's kind of like the roadmap for now.
Yeah, I was gonna, and Quincy, welcome back. I'm not sure if you can hear us or if you can speak now. But I was gonna bring up, Jaylin, you brought up the community component, and I was gonna ask that, like, how do you connect with community? And Quincy, feel free to pitch in as well. And I see, you're saying Rainier Beach, the mural. Do you do any kind of other like partnerships maybe with other youth organizations in Rainier Beach or Mount Baker? What's the extent of your maybe ambitious plans of how you want to bring art to community beyond that mural or beyond that work?
I think what would be a beautiful thing is I think right now we're trying to like reach out to like schools like Rainier Beach High School and there's other schools in the general area. And I think it would be like kind of dope to like have schools set up their own like clubs for art and stuff, and like have collaborations between that, because at the moment I don't think we're that spread out with others in doing collaborations. But I do hope for that, and I think that's what we're trying to do at the moment.
Great. Thank you. So we can take a little pause from us asking you questions and see if anyone on the call has any questions for you all. Does anyone out and listening have any questions for Jaylin and Quincy, representing the Art of Resistance and Resilience of Franklin High School? If you want to type your question on the chat bar, you're welcome to. Laura will read it out, or you can unmute yourself by pressing *6 to share your question.
No questions yet in the chat.
So while we wait, is there someone there from Jen?
Hey, Jaylin, this is Angela. This is really awesome. I was wondering if you guys have put any thought into going to some of the other schools and letting them know what you're doing and seeing if they would want to do something like this.
To that, I would say most definitely. I think the more that people are in on like projects that we're doing, like when we do like projects, we always like try to like reach out to people for like help. Like we were doing with this upcoming one, we're going to put like signs up on the athletics field. We try to reach out to the Black Student Union, and I think it would be definitely like important for us to like reach out to other schools. A lot of schools don't like probably don't even have the funding that we have for art, or even less, because just like a lot of schools had to cut like art programs for like funding and stuff, and it's really unfortunate. And I think whichever way we can get like the community into art, we can keep it alive, because it seems like it's diminishing over time.
You are so right about that, and that's why it's so important for someone like you to be a spokesperson around the city. I think it would be great. Thank you so much for what you're doing. It's awesome.
Hey, Jaylin, if I could ask a question. So this whole year, or not so much this year so far, but 2020 has just been like a crazy year with COVID and everything shutting down. What have you guys been doing with reaching out to people and also meeting yourselves like during COVID, because of course you can't meet in person. So are you guys using social media in any unique ways to get the word out and doing anything like that?
Oh yeah, you're completely right about that. COVID is absolutely bonkers, and like throwing it in like it just like completely throws a wrench into the artistic process. But the more I got into it, the more streamlined I realized it is that usually like on Mondays and Fridays we have like these group calls where we either like work on something or talk about what we're going to do. So it's definitely like it doesn't seem like as necessary to have to meet. And when we do for like art supplies and stuff, usually we like meet at the school. We have just a section for the art, and then we all kind of stay apart. Like one of us goes in, gets art, gets out, and that's kind of how we have it. Is like we're lucky enough to have a large courtyard where we can just like kind of scream at each other across the pavement. Um, but definitely reaching out to other organizations and clubs and stuff like that. We've been mostly doing that online through emails and like Instagram, and they're like Instagram and stuff. But that's been a little bit hard too because you don't get responses all the time. I'm sure they're busy and whatnot, but it definitely it doesn't hurt that much as you would think. I think it's I have hope.
Good deal.
Hey,
Good deal.
Jaylin, I have another question for you. I mean, ARR is a very inspiring student-led club, and on a more personal level, I was just curious to know maybe who are some of the artists or activists who have inspired you personally, or other people in the club? Are there artists out there or activists that, in particular, inspire you in the work that you do for the club?
Definitely. I'm not necessarily sure there's any activist that has inspired me per se, but I do know two artists that have inspired me to like get into art, who is like Charles Dixon and Timothy Washington, that are in like the Los Angeles and Watts area. And I think they definitely inspire me to like work on things as a Black person. As I said, art is a projection of yourself, and like seeing Black art definitely inspires me to like want to do it, and I think it will inspire others to want to do it as well.
Quinci, how about the same question to you? What artist or what inspire you?
Well, my sister is actually an artist, and I definitely feel like she has had an impact on me, and my dad is also an artist. So we always have like their art up in our house and stuff like that. And my sister, she usually paints pictures and really resonate with her, and like some are social issues like female rights or LGBTQ rights and things like that. And I definitely feel like she's impacted me to try like kind of get into art as well. Because I see like all the things that she's doing, and it just like kind of like, oh, I want to do like that. Like that seems like a good thing for not only like yourself but for the community.
The power of a former, or the power of a role model, right? And like how others can inspire you to follow that. And I really like what Jaylin mentioned, that like it brings people together, and it's often art is often I feel like it's described as something that can speak to multiple people, multiple groups, regardless of language and regardless of culture. And I think more now than ever with a pandemic and isolation and quarantining, people need that way to communicate with each other in different ways. So that's incredible that you're able to still do it, that you do it safely, and that you're being a very good advocate and good community members over in the south end of the city. So that's really good work. Any other questions from folks on the call? I saw, Jen, you had a question, and then someone asked it very similarly. So if you still have another question, feel free to type it in.
One question just came through from Melanie. They said, "Hi everyone, sorry I'm late to the conversation. Jaylin or Quincy, are y'all connected to Urban Artworks? It's a local organization and seems like their work and mission is in alignment with what you all are doing."
I actually haven't heard of them or know if we're connected them in the club, but if they're like a organization like us in kind of the same area, like that can help, I think that'd be actually pretty awesome to like link up with them. So thank you for that.
I actually think because we have two kind of like art mentors that are in our club with us, and I think they have worked with Urban Arts. I think that's how you say it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they have in the past. I don't know if they're currently working with them now. Yeah.
So Quincy, what's something you guys are working on right now, like currently? Do you guys like have anything that you guys are all like working on together or collaborating on?
Yeah, actually right now we're kind of on the like end of it right now, but recently we've had like a Black Lives Matter poster and things like that and murals all over our school. And recently they've been defaced and our Black Lives Matter poster got stolen.
Oh,
So as our club, we have decided to each of us got a plank of wood. They vary in size, and so we each made a design for it. And the like whole purpose was kind of like Black Lives Matter. And so we're gonna pick it. I think we're gonna display them soon because we're dropping them off this Friday. And so each one kind of has our own twist on like what Black Lives Matter looks to us, or like different kind of like not necessarily slogans, but like I think mine says Black Power. I think another one says resilience is love. So I think it definitely like that's what we're working on right now. But there's definitely I think other things in the works right now. But yeah, Jaylin, if you want to add to that, you can.
I have another question for you, Quincy or Jaylin, either one. What if a BIPOC student at another school wanted to start an arts club? What advice would you give them? What would you tell them about how they could start one?
That's a good question, actually. I've never started a club myself, but if I were to like just get a general idea of how to start a club is find out what your community needs. Talk to the people around you. Understand, be like the mouth for your community's speech. Just understand what's around you and what they actually need. I think that's important when you're creating artwork for your community. Is that you want to, if you're doing artwork for your community, you want to be, especially for like the school, you definitely want to be the voice for the masses. I think that's important. Is you understand what people want.
Yeah, that is important to understand the people that are around you in your neighborhood, and kind of like what your school represents and those kind of things. So that's pretty cool. I think we might have one more question in the chat. Do we have anything in the chat, Laura?
Yeah, two just popped up, and then I think these will be the last ones that we take. So one from Catherine says, "Did I miss it, or will this art be out for others to see? So will it be like public facing, or is it in the school?"
It will be hanging outside of the school because we're kind of putting these up to replace our Black Lives Matter poster that was stolen, which was outside of the school. So if you are going to be driving by Franklin, you will be able to see it. I just don't necessarily know exactly where, but I know it will definitely be on the outside, so everybody in the community will be able to see it.
If I were to guess where it was going to be, it would probably be along like the fence of the athletics field that's in front of Franklin. If I were to guess anywhere, just because that's where it was stolen, I think.
Okay, great. And then the The next question was, how has your school's administration, teachers and staff been supporting you in light of this art being defaced and tampered with?
I definitely feel like our art mentors that are in the class with us definitely like gave us that space to kind of like grieve, I guess, and like process what is happening. And then they gave us the tools and the opportunities to kind of like, okay, well, we can't fight hate with hate. We have to just really just spread more love and positivity rather than like trying to get back at them, I guess. So I definitely feel like yes, they supported us through all this, but then they also gave us the tools to like combat it and fight this so we're not just either like burying it and acting like it didn't happen or just like trying to fight it with like hate rather than love.
Okay, I think that's everything in the chat. Lauren Holloway also said, the mural wasn't stolen, but it was defaced. The mural has been restored, and the new project will be next to the Seattle Black Panther Party mural. Yeah.
Yep, the mural was defaced. Banner was stolen. Basically, what happened. About my comment about just like how the teachers and staff here definitely are art mentors, and administrators are wonderful people. And I think for us having an outlet to speak our mind and just having like a quick phrase, if you will, to say what we think is better than like teenagers with pent up rage. So I gotta give them the thumbs up for that. I think they're great.
Great, great. Well, Jaylin and Quinci, we thank you for joining us on the show tonight. We're going to keep the show moving along with our next segment. So in this segment, we're going to be talking with Naisha Williams, the lead for COVID vaccination in BIPOC communities. So as the battle against COVID-19 continues, many organizations are looking at ways to deliver accurate information and resources to the communities in which they impact the most to help them make informed decisions about testing and vaccinations. So Naisha, thank you for joining us, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, and good evening, everyone. So yes, my team is charged with addressing vaccine hesitancy in BIPOC communities, and so our outreach efforts are basically revolving around communicating with different communities and getting feedback of essential information that they would like to see us produce, as opposed to like creating resources and then doubling back and saying, hey, what do you think about this? We think it's really important to incorporate what the community wants to hear, and also understanding that it's not a one size fits all approach. So what is important and needs to be prioritized for one BIPOC community may not necessarily apply to another, and vice versa. And so one of the key elements that fuels our outreach is education, because education addresses information. It's the best tool.
Absolutely.
So, some of the common things we hear that has influenced our material development and our conversations is, I guess I'll capture some few things that we hear. mRNA technology in the vaccine world, the concept is fairly new. However, we hear a lot about, people believing that RNA and mRNA technology will alter your DNA. And so one of the ways we dispel that type of, I don't really want to say myth, because it's really just misinformation, because a lot of things are just circulating around on the internet and multiple sources. But, we address that in some of our outreach materials, okay, so explain how mRNA works, but more importantly, also explain how long mRNA has been around. And so this is a technology that has been around for about 2 decades per se. And so although the concept is new, for vaccine, it's been heavily used in like cancer research. And then, also incorporating information about the BIPOC scientists and doctors who are involved in developing that technology. For instance, we know that it was a Hungarian biochemist who, escaped communism in the 1980s that was spearheading, this technology. And, that in itself is a story of empowerment and triumph for women because, she was being told that you can't do this. Now, fast forward now, it's like, we actually developed a, yes, you can. We developed a vaccine, it can be done. And then, we know that we have not also looking at the scientists and doctors involved in the development, but who's leading those clinical trials. And when I say clinical trial phase 3, people want to know what happens in clinical trials. And so, we're incorporating those type of questions into, outreach materials to explain to people, people want to know how the vaccine works. They want to know, what it means when I say clinical trial phase 3. They want to know about the ingredients in the vaccine, for faith-based communities specifically. They want to know that there's no gelatin pork products, there's no human fetal tissue in the vaccine, and, we've even gotten the whole microchip bit. So
right. Yeah. So there's so many like misconceptions about it. Like I've heard so many different things. But speaking of vaccinations in particular, so I've heard that Johnson & Johnson has a vaccine that only requires 1 dose as opposed to 2 doses. So obviously, if I'm going to get a vaccine, taking 1 dose is ideal for me because I don't want to have to go back and get it a second time. But can you tell us a little bit about how effective it is to take 1 dose versus 2 doses?
Oh, you're muted, Naisha.
You're muted.
Okay, there it goes. Okay,
There you
it
go.
said I was muted. I don't know. Okay, all right, you can hear me? Okay, cool.
Yes.
So right now, the 2 vaccines that are available are Pfizer and Moderna, and they are actually they both have an efficacy rate around 95%. They are 2 dosage, and they use the mRNA technology. We don't have full data on a Johnson & Johnson because it has yet to be fully approved. So it's, it's applied for that approval. But what we do know about it is a 1-dose vaccine. However, it's not made with mRNA technology. So it's how we traditionally make vaccines with the inactivated version of the virus. And so we're trying to gather more data about the effectiveness, but so far what we've heard in press releases, it appears roughly about 72% for severe symptoms and around 85% for mild symptoms. I'm not going to speculate too much on why that is until we get like definitive information about it, but it appears to me it could be for a wide variety of reasons because it's 1 dose instead of 2 potentially. And so hopefully we'll get, more of a rollout. I'll say, Pfizer kind of had a grand press release with a lot of information. This is a little bit of a trickle. So, we're trying to just, wait and see what the approval happens and if we can get more information about the vaccine and get more concrete information regarding the efficacy. I will say it definitely will create another option. And so I'm curious to see if we can get more details on, if the efficacy rate is actually higher and get a more definitive answer of how mild symptoms and severe symptoms are being described from their perspective. And so I can say now we're still awaiting to just get more, but those are the key differences. I will say is that it's 1 dose, and I won't necessarily say it's less effective, but there is a difference in efficacy rate. So when we're thinking about, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was sorry to interrupt, but because you're saying that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is still being, put out there. The information is not there. That would
Yeah.
make it 3 vaccines in the US now, right? So
Well, it hasn't been approved yet, so we're just waiting. Yeah.
if we were to get the
Yeah.
I guess my point that I'm trying to get to, there's every time there'll be a new vaccine, if it gets to the approval point, there'll be more information and more confusion. And so that leads me to my question, Naisha, is like, I know that the Washington State Department of Health, Seattle and King County Public Health have been putting out a lot of information to help the public learn more about the different vaccination phases and also like when people can get it, but there's still confusion. Like I'm still confused as to when my parents can get it and when I can get it. There's terms like multi-generational being used. Where can folks get the most current information on the vaccine? Where would you tell them to go?
I have the website I can put in the chat. We have a website called findyourphase.wa.org, and I'll put it here in the chat. I'll pull up all the sites and plug them in the chat for you all, and I can share it out. That tells you all about Phase Finder and how you can find your phase. And one good thing about Phase, it's still being updated, continuously with information from providers. But you can sign up with your information and, just the simple screening information, and also provide either your cell phone number or email. And tell you, not only does it tell you where you can find the vaccine, like different vaccination sites, but if you're not within the phase, it will alert you. It'll send you a notification when you fall within that phase.
So that actually brings up my next question, because you're saying email or phone, but what about
Osvaldo?
Oh, I'm mute.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to say Joaquin in the chat said it's really hard to hear. There was some muffling with Osvaldo's audio. So maybe if people are just able to mute if they're unmuted. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've been hearing the muffling too, but no.
Okay. Let's try that out. Thanks, Joaquin.
That's way better. Thanks, Joaquin. So, Naisha, I guess we'll mute each other when we speak because technology hasn't caught up to this. But what I was saying is, you're saying somebody needs a phone or an email, and that brings up my point of access and barriers, right? Like, what are we going to do about communities who have those access barriers? No computer, no phone, no internet, no email. And what about language barriers, like multilingual, non-English speaking communities? What are we doing to make sure that they also can access the vaccine?
Great question. So we do have community navigators, roughly around about 50, possibly 60 navigators that represent different BIPOC communities that actually, conduct outreach pretty much on the ground. And then we do have a language access team where we also have this information translated to handouts, and we translate in about 33 languages. We also have working groups that are comprised of public health and other county members, as well as community members, where they engage in listening sessions with the community to give us feedback, and also they communicate information that we provide. And so they'll print out their information, do the distribution out in the community. We also work with multiple nonprofits like Somali Health Board and different other, and Afghan Health and different other organizations where we, send them, they tell us the languages. And so our language access team will handle the translation, and they oftentimes use community members that they contract with for the translation, so it can be, the most accurate, and so then we will then send this out to our navigators, different community members, and then they will do print version and disperse it out to the community. And also our navigators have also helped with enrolling older adults, helping them to enroll, to get appointments and get information.
You're covering all your bases. I mean, you're covering a lot of things.
Oh, I thought you couldn't hear me.
No. Yeah, but you're doing, you're mentioning all the things I was thinking. Yes, the Somali Health Board, and thinking of communities that typically don't have access.
So our strategy is, honestly, as a government entity, we cannot replace the community, and so my team, we are focused on engagement and empowerment, through providing people with the most, current information so that they can make the most informed choices. And part of that engagement and getting like eye level with the community, I'm a mom of 4. I have a 4-year-old, and when I want to say something important to her and I want her to actually listen, I get eye level with her. Like, this is what I'm telling you, and this is important. And that's how I feel about how our communication needs to be, with community. We have to actually go out to, we can't expect everyone to come to us to collect information. We actually have to engage and go out into the community and also be mindful with that engagement. And so part of the reason for the utilization of like navigators and trusted messengers is not only are we not always trusted, we can't be everywhere all the time. And so if we empower, the people that are part of these working groups and our navigators and these organizations, they also communicate information out into the community. And so we provide those reinforcements. I have organizations who will call us in and, can you do a Q&A session and talk about the vaccine? Sure. We need these type of materials. We have these questions and concerns that our community members want. Can you assemble a packet for us? Of course. And so,
and that's when like the partnerships with community is really helpful.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's how we see it, as a collaboration, as a community partnership, because again, we're not replacing the community. And so I think the key to our strategy is empowering the community to work with the community and thinking about those who are leaders in the community and charging to help us with this work, because I think that's far more effective, as opposed to just trying to be everywhere and kind of like, invade people's spaces and take over. So that's a lot to do with our strategy. Yes.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. I'll pass it over to Alvin. Alvin?
Yes, I wanted to mute my mic because there was like a lot of feedback going on. I didn't know if it was me or not. So, so you kind of touched on a little bit. And I'm going to be with organizations contacting you guys setting up things for them, and I'm going to be touching base with you because there's a lot of work that we're actually doing in the Department of Neighborhoods where I think there's going to be a lot of intersections. So I'm definitely going to be touching base with you. But I did want to ask a couple questions about if you have any information on like the variants. So we know there's some variant strains out there, and I'm not quite sure if the vaccines that we have are equipped to deal with those variants. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes, and before I touch on the variant, I want to add one more thing about our community engagement strategy. Just talking about the high volume vaccination sites. Again, we know a one-size-fits-all approach isn't the best fit. And so another way that we're engaging with the community is to also, work with organizations in the community to host like vaccine drive-up vaccination sites as well through churches and different organizations that can, help with the vaccine distribution as more supply becomes available. Now, on to the variant strain. So, at least for Moderna and Pfizer, I can't really speak too much to Johnson & Johnson because I don't know. So the vaccine is developed based off of the virus shape or the structure of the virus. So theoretically, still will recognize a variant because a variant is just a slight mutation of the virus. I mean, it's just evolution 101. We think about superbugs and their resistance to, antibiotics, same concept. And so what does that mean? We make stronger antibiotics, or we do more, we take antibiotics for longer to combat that. Same idea with the vaccine. And so what's potentially being discussed is adding a booster to the vaccines that are currently available to boost our immunity. However, in terms of the variant, like I said, it's, the vaccine is already developed based off of that virus shape and structure. So the vaccine will recognize the variant because it's still part of the same virus family per se. However, in terms of immunity, again, we may need a booster to just boost the immunity, which is actually pretty common when we think about vaccinations, especially like, thinking along the lines of like a lot of the vaccinations that we received, in childhood, like, MMR, you get those, doses in staggered fashion to continuously boost your immunity over time. And so it's still like the same, concept, especially dealing with a virus, it evolves over time. So, we have to keep up with it and keep boosting our immunity. And so in terms of the variant, it still will be effective. However, we don't know how effective it will be. And so right now, yes, Moderna and Pfizer are in talks of developing a booster, and they're, looking at it as it's occurring because we have multiple variants popping up. So they're studying it and discussing whether or not it will be necessary to develop that booster. But however, the vaccine still is like 95% effective in general. And so what we are encouraging, because there is a variant, I think it is now more evident than ever that we still need to take those safety precautions.
Absolutely.
We still need to mask up. There's even encouragement for double masking now, because what we do know about the variant is it spreads, it's highly contagious, more contagious than the previous strain, and it spreads more quickly. So, especially as more businesses that are, opening up, we have to be extremely vigilant. And so, of course, wearing those masks. And, I tell people, even if I get this question all the time, well, if I'm wearing a face shield, do I need to wear a mask? Yes, please.
I've seen that, yeah.
No matter what other option you want to include, you still need that mask.
Absolutely.
And also, like, rethinking about, airplanes and going into places that are poorly ventilated, because then you have less air filter and you potential for those droplets to still be circulating around in the air, and then also social distancing.
Yeah, I think
minimizing gatherings.
I think the lesson here is that you shouldn't drop your guard. A vaccine is not the clear way out of this.
Right.
And we should continue to observe what we've been doing for a while. Thank you. That's a good reminder, and I think it's also a good segue into having a look, Laura, at any community questions that we have on the side, so we can answer some of those before we move on.
Yeah, it looks like we have a couple in the chat. So Kelly says, thanks, amazing. How can I get connected to those resources like the community navigators? I work with Somali seniors at the Somali Family Safety Task Force.
I can put my email also in the chat. I'm still pulling up the website. I'm having a slowdown over here. And so we can definitely connect with your organization, and also talk about, we like to set up meetings and meet beyond email. And so we usually, meet with organizations, and community members for about 30 hours just to talk about how we can help, and what would be the most useful. And then we can talk about different connections, different resources, and the whole bit. So absolutely.
Okay, and it looks like we have one other question in the chat. So I don't know, this is pretty specific. Do you have any opinions on the Korean KF94 masks? They seem to be much better for a larger male face and much more robust.
I don't have any advisory for 94 versus N94, but I will say that making sure that your mask is secured properly and covering your nose is the biggest safety factor. Oftentimes we see people wearing masks incorrectly, and then it's not beneficial. So if your nose is exposed, or your mouth is exposed, then it's potentially opening you up for contracting COVID. So I think the importance of, with all masks, is making sure that you wear them correctly.
Also, we've been in this for a year. How long is it going to take you to learn how to properly wear a mask, right? Well, I think that brings us to Naisha. I think we really wish we had more time, and I was just thinking ahead. I'm sure it won't be the last time we invite you to join us as we get more information, more rollouts. and we'll plan hopefully maybe for a little more time, because I know it will continue to be a very heated conversation, or just a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss. So thank you for being here this evening and answering some questions. And if folks still have questions, please put them on the sidebar, because we can send them to Naisha. I mean, you also have her email. We can follow up as well. But thank you, Naisha. Thank you for your time. And we're now going to transition over to Mr. Hart. Mr. Bill Hart, go ahead and unmute yourself, and if you can, turn on your camera as well. Alvin? There you go. You're unmuted.
Alvin, I think you're muted.
You're muted, but Bill just unmuted. So
Okay, perfect. So just to kind of lead us in here, in honor of Black History Month, we wanted to take some time to spotlight a Black business. So tonight we would like to welcome Bill Hart from Baked from the Heart, who has been baking in Seattle for over 30 years. Thanks for joining us, Bill.
Can you speak, Bill, so we can make sure we can hear you?
Can you hear us, Mr. Hart?
Oh, your mic is doing the. I practiced with Mr. Hart earlier, and his mic was doing the same thing. So you might have to go into your settings again, Bill, to adjust your mic.
While we're waiting for the mic issues, if anyone has any Black-owned business they'd like to shout out in the chat, feel free to do that now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you. Yay, thank you. Okay.
All right, Mr.
Yeah, go ahead, Alvin.
Oh, no problem. So, Mr. Hart, thank you for joining us. We're glad to have you here. So you've been baking for 30 years in the community. Tell us a little bit about what that's been like.
It's been a journey. It's had its ups and downs. It's basically been a journey. It's been a good journey. It's been a very educational. It's been a lifelong journey. Technically, it's been 51 years.
Oh my goodness!
But oh yeah, it's been a long time. So been a lot learned, seen a lot, seen a whole lot of. Years in this area.
Right.
So, but some things, majority have changed in one hand for the better. Then, of course, on one hand, they kind of change for the worst. You get some on both hands. As far as a business in the community, it's been a struggle, to stay in business and to do business, and how they, in the COVID era. So things been kind of, they've been kind of rough, they've been kind of up and down, but as far as the community, we have a very good community compared to, other communities and other places in the nation.
Good stuff. So you said there's been like some ups and downs. Let me just kind of, we're going to expand on that a little bit, because I know the Mount Baker community, there's been lots of changes and lots of rapid changes with like gentrification, development of new buildings in that area. Let's talk a little bit about that. Has any of that stuff had an effect on you as a business owner there?
Yes, it has had an effect. Of course, the construction in this, of course, noticed for a while. The gentrification, it's kind of a two-edged sword, because, in one sense, it moved out a base of people that, kind of regularly did business. But on the other side, it moved in a new source of clientele. And the new source of clientele, I was speaking to some people that came in the cafe earlier today. Technically speaking, we have bottom line is you have a higher income of people moving in the area
Mm-hmm.
with gentrification. A lot of times, people would think offhand that it has to do with race. That's the first thing that would come to their mind. But technically, what's happening, at least what I've seen what's happening, bottom line, it has to do with real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to do with for instance, you take a piece of property yourself. You buy a piece of property, and you buy this piece of property for investment income, and you rent out this piece. Well, if people start to become unemployed, or their skill level, the skills that they had, are no longer available, or they're no longer needed, or they're diminishing, well, their incomes are going to start to diminish. And when the income starts to diminish, your rent is going to diminish to the point that you may have to board up your place of business. But you still have that place of business. You still have to pay your mortgage. But what realtors do, and what people, bottom line, what people in real estate and investors do, they look for new tenants. And for us nationwide, the gentrification, we have looked for new tenants, and those new tenants have came from outside the country. And those new tenants are able to come in and pay higher rents and pay more for space. And we don't see that happening. We don't understand that happening, but that is what's happening. That's why at one time you was able to put up an apartment building in the same area, because I lived in the apartment buildings area, 2 3-bedroom apartments. And those 2 3-bedroom apartments, you can get in those things for maybe under $100 a month.
And the cost difference is huge.
Yeah. Today, right across the street from me, and down the street above QFC, we have micro, not not just 1 or 2 bedrooms, but micro apartments. And those micro apartments almost are 1.5 rooms, going for $2,500. And I, yes.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, but so I'm assuming, because we've actually had offline conversations about how the cost of rent, and like you are thinking about moving and finding a new place, it's become more challenging, right? With more demand.
Yeah, so it's becoming, in one sense, it's becoming more challenging. But again, as I was saying, because we have a different type of people at a different level of income moving into the area, they are starting to help support some of the businesses. And you got to give credit where credit is due.
So you're saying you're losing some customers that were very regulars, but you're also getting some that are newer, and at the expense of a very costly living and a very and you and I know, both business owners, the cost of rent has also gone up. So, Mr. Hart, that brings me to a question I have for you. So I'm sure your business, or maybe it has, but it has not been immune to the impact of the pandemic financially. And I know that at the state level, at the federal level, they've announced recently financial aid and financial support for small businesses. What continues to be today, where we are with the pandemic, what continues to be the biggest challenges, or the biggest challenge, let's say, for your small business right now?
Well, number one, my small business, a lot of these COVID-19, like PPP loans and things of that nature, a lot of us, that's one thing. Number two, the very fact that, people can't come in and dine, and people can't come in and sit down, and people are people are reluctant. They're a bit more reluctant to spend some of the money that they have because they don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. So overall, regardless, what I was speaking of the income level change, people are still holding on to their wallets, and affect us because we got, like myself, I have to really, really micromanage my business. I have to really, you got to just really be on top of it, and you got to watch what you spend.
Right. Yeah. That's and I think I don't know the correct statistic, but you brought up the fact that the PPP and some government loans haven't reached many, and you said some of us, your quote, and that I don't know, like I said, the statistic, but that's very true. There is data that shows that usually the more wealthier business owners, the more affluent neighborhoods will get those access to those loans first. So I hope it changes, but thank you for sharing that. Alvin, take it off.
Yes, definitely. So I just wanted to touch on one quick question, if we could, before we end with you, Mr. Hart. So let's look at some good things that are going on in the community. So as far as your business, have there been any other things that you've implemented during COVID to kind of help things along? Like I know some businesses they have like delivery services, or maybe they've expanded their outside dining and things like that. Have you done anything like that to help support your business?
Yes, I've cooperated with, of course, like Grubhub, DoorDash, Uber Eats. We've had to really dig a lot deeper into using those and working in partnership with them.
Mm-hmm.
And with any other delivery service or anybody that people that are actually doing, catering, things of that nature. And then, of course, our online sales. We've expanded we had to expand our online sales, expand our website sales. So everything has become what you might say, outside the brick and mortar. That's really what's been going on right now. It hasn't been so much of a brick and mortar game. It's been everything going on outside the brick and mortar.
Right. All right. Well, do we have any questions in the chat there, Laura?
I don't think there are any questions yet, but there are some great call outs for some Black businesses around Seattle. Plum Bistro in Capitol Hill, Communion in the Central District, New Luck Toy, I think, is in West Seattle, and then Cortona and To Go Coffee. And then there's also a few posts from one of our next speakers as well, from Build.
Yeah.
All right.
And one thing I can say is that Mr. Hart's pies are delightful, and he knows that usually I go home with a loaded box of small and big pies that I can reheat at home. But I'm glad, but at the same time not glad that I'm far out of the Uber range for your pie shop, Mr. Hart, because then I would be ordering on Uber every single day pie. So, well, that's good for you. A pie would not be good for my waistline. But thank you, Mr. Hart, for joining. I don't see any questions, right, Laura?
You're right.
Okay. Well,
just a lot of thanks.
Check out Mr. Bake from the Heart in the Mount Baker neighborhood. And Mr. Hart, thank you for being here tonight.
Sure.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. We'll pass it on to, I believe, Alvin or Ed?
It's going to be Ed.
Ed, thanks.
Yes, hi. For this segment, we would like to shine the spotlight on the Neighborhood Matching Fund, a grant program, and also on two Black-led groups who have led projects to benefit the community. One group is Brothers United in Leadership Development, or BUILD. The other group is Fathers and Sons Together, or FAST. BUILD and FAST have both used grants from the city's Neighborhood Matching Fund program for their projects. Tonight, we have Andre Franklin from BUILD and Lincoln and Cathie Wilmore, both from FAST. We would like them to share a bit about the work of their group and their experience with the Neighborhood Matching Fund. Alvin?
So first, we're going to talk to Andre Franklin from Brothers United in Leadership, which is BUILD. So Andre, tell us a little bit about what your organization does and how you guys work in the community.
Yeah, I'll drop some stuff here in the chat in a second, but really, Brothers United in Leadership Development, the acronym is BUILD. We really focus on issues that impact Black men and boys. We work with everybody, but we're really focused on issues that impact Black men and boys as the foundation. So a lot of our events, we do, fun interactive activities, and the Neighborhood Matching Fund has been beneficial for us to get resources to pull community together, especially in the face. I heard you guys talking a little bit earlier about gentrification. It's been a rapid gentrification from historical Black communities in the city of Seattle. So we try to do events, host events inside the city of Seattle to bring folks together to, network, politic, and build relationships, as well as, address some of the larger issues. But we try to do fun, joyful activities, and the Neighborhood Matching Fund has been a great resource for us to tap into. But I'll drop our mission and vision and some of our goals in the chat here in a second.
Great.
So, Andre, many people may not know about the Neighborhood Matching Fund grant program or have experience with it. Can you maybe tell us a little bit more about what it was like applying for a matching fund grant and how you used it?
Yeah, so the Neighborhood Matching Fund, the good thing is they have project managers that can actually help you navigate the process, which makes it helpful. And they have like TA, technical assistance from them. And, they also have like presentations that kind of walk you through the steps. We used some of the events that we've done in the past was our Father's Day event, which we're doing again this year. And we did like a 90s Little League, like football was a big deal in Seattle back in the 90s. So we did a 90s Little League reunion, and it was like for men that were like 30 and older. And so they brought their friends, their kids and all that out there, physical fitness. But it's also, we had a resource fair going on. So we partnered with a lot of folks with the resource fair, that covered the awards, covered the rental of the facility. We were able to hire a DJ and pay some people to do some performances and stuff like that. Those are some examples of some of the programs that we've done through the Neighborhood Matching Fund. So it is a great resource. Some of the stuff that's a little bit more difficult to navigate is we understand with the city with every single receipt, every single expenditure. You gotta upload, and it's just very tenuous. And then the interface, the database that the city has isn't the most user friendly. But other than that, I mean, it's a pretty good process. And I think the other thing that may be able to be adjusted is they don't fund the same projects year after year because they want things to be sustainable. But the reality is there's not a lot of resources out here for these types of programs and projects. A lot of funders are funding, service provider type things. So sometimes we got to figure out, people are going to donate or volunteer to try to do an event like our Father's Day event. And now we're going to do a Mother's Day event this year just to uplift, Black men, Black women that are doing amazing things within our community. So that, that's just some feedback that, our team has around that. And I understand the sustainability piece, but it would be good, it's hard to sustain if you don't have the resources to sustain, so.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I can actually agree with you on that. As someone who used to work for the Neighborhood Matching Fund, that was always a challenge for me in working with people because they would come. They would be funded one year, then they would come back the next year, and it was like, we can't fund you, back to back. So, we'd have to try to find other ways for them to get funding, or maybe like change their project around. But yeah, that's definitely something that we can work on with the Neighborhood Matching Fund. But I do hear on the bright side, I do hear that they are working on a new system right now. So the web grants platform that you're used to is going to be gone, and I hear they're working on something that's going to be a little bit easier. So that's going to be good for the people who are working with Neighborhood Matching Fund. So we're gonna transition right now over to Fathers and Sons Together, and we have Lincoln Wilmore here to tell us a little bit about FAST. How's it going, Lincoln?
It's going good.
Good. So tell us a little bit about FAST and what it means, Fathers and Sons Together, and your involvement.
Okay. So hi, my name is Lincoln Wilmore, and I am the new Junior Executive Director of FAST, Fathers and Sons Together, and I'm excited to speak with you guys today. And with me on this call is also the Executive Director of FAST and also my mother, Cathie Wilmore. And first off, I'm happy to be a part of the Department of Neighborhood Community Conversations. FAST mission is to empower the relationship between fathers and sons to strengthen our community, families and communities. Our primary focus is to achieve these goals and empower fathers to develop their sons. And this sustains families and strengthens our communities. If the individual does not have a father, the role of FAST is to equip multiple father figures to step in, reach out, and give a hand by multiple different ways.
Good, good, good. Ed?
Yes. So, what can you tell us? What are some of the activities that FAST has carried out to help benefit fathers and sons in the community?
So we have been working on multiple different events for different fathers and sons. Some examples are we have things such as baseball camps, basketball camps. We have a thing called barbershop chats, and all of those events are designed to basically empower the relationship between fathers and sons. Recently, during the spike of COVID, we've still been able to been active and create events. And we have a thing coming up called the Youth or Level Up program. And that's basically to help people propel careers and work with multiple different people who are specialists in that type of career. And so that's what we've been doing.
I really like the idea of the barbershop chat. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that means and what happens?
Yeah. In the barbershop chats, we have a bunch of barbers, local barbers come in that we support, and they'll set a space up in a room. And we'll just we typically hold it down in Rainier Beach Community Center. And we have a bunch of people come in and get free haircuts by these local barbers. And sometimes we'll have, on the other side, we'll have a gym where some sons will go get their cuts. And then after, fathers and sons can go and do something physical and fun together in the gym. And we also have food, and it's just a great community event overall. And we're able to have conversations in a circle and talk about different events going on in the community. And it's a lot of positive feedback from them.
Hi, Ed. This is Cathie. I'm going to chime in as well. My son is doing a wonderful, amazing job. Don't you all agree?
Absolutely.
He's our new junior executive, and he's out here doing his thing. I just want to speak about one program that we're getting ready to launch that we're super, super excited about is the next generation level up, which the Neighborhood Matching Fund is funding. It's a career readiness program for ages 14 to 24, and we are prepared for an online program, but we're also preparing for in-person. The next phase of getting our youth prepared is to propel them into the community and to be ready to go step into those internship positions. And so we're super excited about that, and we really are thankful for the Neighborhood Matching Fund and others who are funding that initiative to step out and just change the narrative of our community, that we are amazing, that we are prepared, we are employable, and giving our youth a whole different roadmap to success. So I just wanted to share that as well.
That's great, and you know it's always awesome because I always think about Lincoln when he came and he performed at our Black History Month celebration a couple years ago, and I was like, man, this kid is amazing. Like at that age, I don't even know like what I was doing at that age, but Lincoln is just so impressive to me. So that is just great. Can you tell us a little bit about like what you guys are doing during COVID? Have you guys had to change the way you guys do business with community?
Yes, we have. But the good thing about COVID is it just re-engaged us. It forced us to look at how we can support our community in a different way. So we've been really blessed to partner with all different types of organizations to focus on food insecurities. So we've been doing a lot of food giveaways, and during the holidays, we were able to partner with Toys for Tots, and we gave out toys along with food and, a drive-through Santa. So, we've been really innovative in how we are supporting our neighborhood and our community. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I just wanted to go to the chat really quick here and see if we had any questions there. Laura, are there any questions in the chat?
There is one question that just came up, and anybody feel free to add more questions to the chat as well as we go along. But how can we keep up to date on this upcoming programming, Cathie, the one about career readiness? I'd love to share out that info.
We would love for you to share that out as well. You can always check our website. We're going to be updating all the information. It's going to be starting in March. So I will. I see that our website is our link to our website is in the chat. Thank you very much. We also have a mailing list. So to get on our mailing list, just check out our website and connect with us that way as well.
All righty. All right, so let's see here. Are there any more questions in the chat here? Or are we?
No other questions in the chat, but I'm interested. Dre, did you have anything you wanted to say around the pivot around COVID too for your programming? Have you had to change how you're operating, especially because a lot of the community-based events that happen are in person? So how is that connection still happening?
Yeah, I'll talk about overall and then specifically with the Neighborhood Matching Fund. So overall, we started a business, and when you guys call it the business, we have a business where we rent equipment, tables, chairs, and tents, and we got a box truck. One, because we've done a lot of events, so it was easy for us to be sustainable, to not have to keep paying the ongoing rental fees, or asking different organizations to borrow their stuff and all that, and then we're able to provide that equipment at a reduced rate to other orgs or for free. So with COVID, as people are aware, churches and gathering places are closed. So there's been a number of deaths tied to COVID, and then an uptick in gun violence. So we work with several families to do activating parks within the Seattle and South King County area to provide table, chairs, and tents so they could grieve their families. As well as, there was a number of protests, as I'm sure folks are aware. If they weren't aware, they need to wake up. There was a number of protests in 2020, so we also provided tables, chairs, and tents, sound systems, generators, and stuff to support that movement, and as well as help with security for those events. Use the truck and the vehicles that we had to help block off the streets to make sure that the areas that were protests were happening and teach-ins were happening were safe and secure from outside violence. And then we've done a lot of shifting our programs and stuff to virtual. So really learning, with COVID, there's been a lot of COVID learning how to stream and record and edit, and using Photoshop and learning all these new skill sets to get things online and go virtual, more virtual than previous, and sharing that information with other organizations and young folks that we're mentoring. So those have been the major shifts that we've been doing, and specifically with the Neighborhood Matching Fund. Yeah, some of our programs are in person, and so it's really like getting over the hurdles of securing facilities because some things aren't open. There's rules and guidelines around certain activities that we're trying to do that may not align with, for instance, like we're trying to do a block party and use a park facility, so field. And so really it's a lot more hurdles to actually reserve those facilities, but then also having the contingency of, depending on what phase we're in, if we're not able to come together safely, to do things virtually. So looking at facilities that we could set up a virtual location and get software and those types of things, to actually stream the event, and have people join virtually. And then, the people that we're honoring, they can come virtually, and we could send them their award. So just working out the logistics on how we'll make those things happen, so we can still complete what we outlined in our. So it's like having two. We're basically planning to double the work, because we're planning for one in person and one virtually, and then having all these contingencies as well as trying to communicate and keep the project managers and everybody in the loop on top of work and everything else that we do in our day-to-day life. So it's been a whirlwind, but we're happy, like I said, to have the resource, and we're happy to be able to, because I know it got paused last year when COVID first kicked off. The fund got paused last year, so we're happy that the city, allowed these resources and saw the value in the work that, orgs like us and FAST do in the community. And FAST is doing amazing things. I want to give a shout out to Lincoln. He did a great job presenting. So good job, young brother. And they're doing great work in the community and very similar work to what Bill's doing. And the more the merrier. And I think, having resources like this that are flexible, just to bring folks together, that's not asking for a whole bunch of service provision stuff. It gives you flexibility to fund innovative activities. And there's a lot more hidden between what we do than just the fun activities.
Yeah. Well, Andre, I want to thank you and Cathie and Lincoln and both Bill and FAST for all the tremendous work that you do on behalf of the community. And I want to say on behalf of Seattle Neighborhood and the Neighborhood Machine Fund program and the city that we are really grateful for both Bill and FAST being fabulous, nimble, and adaptable, and resourceful community group. You're all awesome. So this is quite an amazing presentation. So thank you again, Andre, Lincoln, and Cathie, and we hope to see you back at the Machine Fund in due time. And thank you again for your observations about the Machine Fund. Greatly appreciate it. If community members would like to learn more about Bill and FAST, we have put their website in the chat box. Each month, we will spotlight a new community group that is doing great and unique work in the community, just like Bill and FAST talked about tonight. Also, a quick word about the Neighborhood Machine Fund grant program. It is now open for grant application. There should be a link in the chat box. Your community group can apply for a small first grant of up to $5,000 anytime, or you can apply for the bigger Community Partnership Fund grant up to $50,000 twice a year. The first Community Partnership Fund deadline is coming up in April, on April 5th. Before then, we are offering 3 virtual workshops on February 20th and March 4th, both of those at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then again on March 17th, and I think that's in evening time. We'll put that information in the link in the chat box. Again, all of the Machine Fund information is on the website, and the link should be in the chat box. Or you can Google on Seattle Neighborhood Machine Fund. Back over to Osvaldo as we begin to wrap up.
Thank you, Ed. Well, as you noticed, I am putting on a little bit of a warm and cozy a sweater, because of the temperatures that are going on in our area. So, and that brings me to our closing point, is that in response to the below freezing temperatures and snow forecast for later this week, the city of Seattle is opening a severe weather overnight shelter at Fisher Pavilion daily from Tuesday, February 9th, so it's yesterday, through the morning of Monday, February 15th. The shelter will be open from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. And to learn more, we're putting a link also on the chat. Alvin?
Alvin, you're muted.
Yeah, you're muted. I'm muted too.
You know what? I keep muting because I'm like, I don't want, the feedback and things like that. But so this brings us to the end of the show here. We'd like to thank all of our guests for joining with us. And we'd like to thank everyone for being here to help us support Black History Month. And don't forget, everyone get out there and support Black businesses and organizations. It's so important, especially during COVID, when, businesses are really getting hit hard and, they need your support. So yeah, go out there and support Black businesses. And, again, we'd like to thank everyone for being here. And I'll turn it back over to Osvaldo.
And I think also a reminder to not just support Black businesses during the month of Black History Month, but year-round as well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And, yeah, thank you if you want to be part of the conversation, remember that this is for you and about you. Our next community conversation is planned for Wednesday, March 10th. from 6 to 7:30 as usual. We look forward to seeing you again. If you would like to email us with a topic or ideas for the 10th, you can do that at don_cec@seattle.gov. That's again don_cec@seattle.gov. Thank you. I'm Osvaldo Hernandez.
I'm Ed Pathurst.
I'm Alvin Edwards.
And I'm Laura Jenkins from the Department of Neighborhoods. Thank you everyone for joining the conversation and have a great evening.